Hi, fellow comic collectors, and welcome to another episode of People with Issues. And what a way to start the new year! I'm extremely pleased and honoured today to tell you that my guest is Robbie Josephs, all the way from Massachusetts. Robbie's well known as not just a super collector, an amazing collection of books, but a super supporter of people like me that make YouTube channels as well. He's fantastic at engaging and leaving comments and showing the love for content creators, so we all love him. So, without any delay, let's bring Robbie to the stage.
Hi,
Hi, Rob.
everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you today?
I'm very good, and very pleased to have you here. It's nice to finally meet face to face, which is cool.
Well, I love you and I love your content, so I'm happy to be here.
I love you right back. So we're delighted to have you. So okay, so as usual, I've got questions to ask you, and we're going to look at some books as well. Now, I've seen everyone's really pleased that towards the end of November, we saw you appear a couple of times on Matt Likes Comics channels.
Okay.
And a lot of us were really pleased to see you on screen and talking about stuff and showing your books, which is fantastic. And you couldn't have picked a better place to start than Matt's channel. So I was very delighted when you spoke to me about doing this. But one of the things sort of interested in, so we've seen that one of the things I love is that every day on Instagram, I know that you're going to post quite a few images of covers of your comic books. And it's always a mix of stuff. And now we're in this nice little routine of every evening I have to make sure I look through them all and try and pick my favorite one for the day, which is hard because they're such good books. And we have a little chat about those. I really love that. Anyone who's not encountered you before, might be a couple of guys in the UK, not familiar with. Um, I'll leave details in the description of this video so they can look you up on Instagram and see some of your fantastic collection as well. So, my first question then, Robbie, is where did it all start with that collection? How did you first sort of get into comic books?
Well, it's sort of a tragic story a little bit too, but when I had a very abusive father growing up,
Okay,
and I had a lot of comic books as a young kid. And he came home one night in a fit of rage, and he made me tear up my entire collection. And I had over 1,000 comic books by like the time I was 8, 9 years old.
sure.
So he made me tear them all up. And I also love the Adventures of Superman TV show and the Batman TV show. And so when I had to rip them up, I was very kind of traumatized by it. And it's a long story. We couldn't fit it all on here,
Okay,
but that always inspired me to collect even greater when I was able to.
all right. So you were determined to rebuild your collection.
Yeah, I was like chasing a ghost my whole life. I still am.
Aha. So how did you get started again?
um, when him and my mother broke up and we moved to Quincy, um, they had opened up a comic book store not too long after I was here, and that's where I kind of started. I had like two collections or three collections before this current one,
Yeah,
so I started again getting into the habit of buying and stuff. And it was funny because when I lived in Boston when I was a kid, there was a store called Schubert's. It was a magazine store, and the owner of the store kept all the magazines and comic books that he didn't sell. He never returned them. He kept them.
really?
And he took a liking to me, and he let me go into the back room one time with him, and he had like thousands of books, like 40s, 50s, 60s, and current. So he would let me take a stack of 10 for $1. Pick any one I wanted, walk out of there with 10. So I had old books when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So like I said, when my father made me tear them all up, it was like that would have been worth quite a lot of money nowadays.
And do you still have any books from, or do you have any of your original books from when you started collecting again, or something from
No,
back?
I I don't. I ended up having to sell some for reasons, but the current collection I have now, I started probably 1985, 86.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
I have everything from that point on.
Cool, cool. And have you got any there that you'd like to share?
Um, yeah, I got some of the ones you asked me for that you wanted to do. I don't know if you wanted me to show them in the order
Well,
of the questions or not.
well, let's have a look at one first. Have you got one of the early ones that you picked up?
Yes, I do. When I
Should we?
first started like back collecting, I was nervous about spending. Like you'd go into the store and you'd see the big books on the wall, but I was more trying to buy quantity at that time, not quality. So I decided, it was time to take the plunge and start spending some money.
Okay.
So this was one of the first ones I got at that period.
Oh wow, that's very cool. That's quite nice. That condition that as well, is it?
Yeah, I'm very fussy.
Are you? You
I
you?
try to be. I wasn't at first, but I started to learn fairly quickly.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That one's one of my favorites. I love the Submariner series. I don't have many of those, but I think that's a great cover as well for a first issue.
Yeah, I have the complete run of this, and the annuals and the two first miniseries after. Submariner is one of my favorites. One of my favorites.
Yeah. And what is it about the Submariner that makes it one of your favorites?
I just think he was. Well, when I was a little kid too, we used to watch Star Trek too, so he kind of reminded me a little bit of Mr. Spock.
Yeah, yeah,
The ears and like the hairdo and everything, and plus the wings on his ankles was like I just loved that look.
yeah, yeah.
And he was always fascinating. I always found it funny, like how in DC Comics, like especially in the 1940s, they used to sue characters out of existence because they were sort of copying them. Like
Mhm.
they said everybody was a copycat of Superman. But, when the Submariner came out, it was okay for them to come up with Aquaman and they didn't get sued.
That's
So
true.
they were stealing as well, but yeah, they were calling the kettle black
Uh,
on
maybe
other
that
characters.
maybe that's why Aquaman doesn't have wings on his ankles, just in case. Just in case.
Yeah, but they did sort of put the fins on his calves a little bit.
Yeah. I always liked the Submariner because you could never really tell whether he was gonna be like the good guy, or sometimes he got quite a bad temper, hasn't he?
Right, right. I guess you would call him an anti-hero.
Anti-hero, yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. So when you started picking up these books again in the 80s, apart from Submariner, what other kind of characters, or whether they were from the 80s or older, what were the ones that you were really keen to get hold of? Who were your
Well,
favorites?
I collected a lot of Superman at first and World's Finest comics and
Uh-huh.
some of the Batman. I collected like 50 titles probably. I just bought what I thought was nice looking and that appealed to me.
Yeah.
I didn't set. I set out trying to be a completionist, but then I realized, about a year or two into it, what are the odds of me getting Action Comics number one?
It's a good point.
So, like, how can I ever complete the Action Comics run? You know, Same thing with detectives. So I just focused more on buying either some books that were key issues, but key issues don't matter to me as long as the book looks nice and I like the cover. That's what I'm kind of at now.
Hmm.
But
that, that
back in the '80s, I was more of a quantity guy for the first year or two, and then I wanted to step up into the quality and start really getting the older books.
Hmm.
So I was already slowly phasing out, the newer books. When I was buying books as they came out in the early to mid '70s and into the '80s, I found like there was a kind of a shift going on, and I thought the charm of the issues that I was reading at the time was starting to disappear.
Okay.
And that's why I really got fascinated with the older stuff even more, because I've always had something about me that liked stuff that came before me.
Hmm. Hmm. And is that just how the stories felt, and the way the heroes were, where it was more about the good guys being good guys and the bad guys being bad guys, that kind of thing?
I find that the Golden Age, especially, it has like some sort of a magic spell to it, the Golden Age comic books.
Yeah.
Whether it be the covers, the stories, there's just some sort of an X factor in those that don't exist anymore.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
And it was already kind of phasing out, you know, as I got into my, late teens and early 20s.
Sure. Sure. I think that's a great way to describe it as well. What was it, like a spell? You said that's a really good
Yeah.
description. And
I mean, if you look at a Golden Age comic book, it has something different about it.
yeah,
I just,
definitely. I
the
mean,
Silver Age was good, but not the Golden Age. There was something about the Golden Age.
it's definitely something I've got more into this year. And I've been, earlier this year, watching an awful lot of videos and some of the great channels on YouTube, where you could learn more about the golden age.
Right.
And I know one of your favorites from then's Captain Marvel. Yeah.
You got that right. The whole Marvel family, I love them all the same.
Yeah, yeah, they are fantastic. And so you were saying that you kind of don't really care about keys, so like about first appearances or special issues and
Well,
stuff
I
like
I have so many of them already, so
that.
it's like now I just want to buy like books that I find to be in really nice shape and preferably Golden Age.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I have to say, I feel the same way. I appreciate people, collecting keys or collecting just keys and stuff like that, but it doesn't. I don't really think about it. It doesn't really bother me whether a book I pick up is a major or minor key or not a key at all. I'm more interested in if it's part of a storyline or a run that I'm filling in, or just a book that looks really nice, where I just appreciate the art. I'm not really too bothered about keys, so that's interesting. Although, like you say, you've probably got most of them anyway. And
Well, I got a fairly good chunk.
do you still? Is there any runs that you're still working on?
Mm, I probably have close to 30 of 35 runs completed.
Uh huh.
So right now I'm mostly focusing on Golden Age, like sort of high grade books.
So do you just like to look and see what's available and pick something, or do you always go and look thinking, you're looking for a specific book?
At this stage right now, I have a lot of health issues that can kind of makes me not be able to go out too much.
Sure.
So I usually order stuff either online, and lately I've been buying a few books from Alan the Comic Collector's Geek. He's done a claim sale show.
Hmm.
I actually just bought two books from that recently, lower than grades than I would normally do, but one of them was a 4.0 pedigree, which because it was a pedigree, I grabbed it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
another one was a 5.0 Submariner from 1955.
Okay.
I don't like to go below six usually if I'm buying Golden Age.
Ah, right. Okay. And do you have a set level for Silver Age and like bronze or?
Well, the problem with that is, see, I've never had my books graded personally. I've never submitted any,
Mhm.
and out of my Silver Age between Marvel and DC, I probably have like 1,500 of them,
Mhm.
which is a pretty large. It's a pretty large percentage of all the ones that were made.
Yeah.
Like I'm only missing like one or two, like to link up the entire '60s on a few of them.
Wow.
But and some of them I do. The smaller ones, like some of the DC ones, like Metamorpho or the Creeper or the Inferior Five, and I did those early in my collecting because I saw that they were small enough to be able to pull off really
Yeah.
kind of easily.
Uh-huh. That's good.
And then and then I finished the Submariner. I was very happy with the Submariner to finish that one. That took me a little while.
Yeah, I'll bet it did. There, like I say, I have a few, but not many, and I, I probably I probably won't ever finish like the whole run, but maybe the first 20, something like that. But we'll see. But I've got quite a few different things on the go because this year it's been like when a kid goes into a candy store and they're just like, look at all these things. And then you watch all these videos, and it's like Raf or Comic Collector Geek or Lunch Money Mike or all of these guys, and they're kind of like, hey, look at this. This is from the '70s and it's really great, or this is from the '50s and it's really great. And I'm like, oh, I want one of those.
Yeah,
I have to. I have
I
to.
know I know it's like having a sweet tooth day being in the candy shop.
Absolutely is. Okay, so let's have a look at another book. Another question I asked you is if you could show us a book that's about either your favorite storyline or one of your favorite storylines, because I'm sure there must be a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, this one is one of my favorite storylines. I really like the Thor from Marvel,
Yeah.
and this particular issue at the time, this was the first full appearance of Odin. So at this point in the early stages of Thor, like we were starting to really get introduced to the mythos of the character. So this is Journey into Mystery number 86.
Wow, that looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's fairly high grade.
I really like the sort of background color on that as well. The top half, it's a
Yeah, it's
sort of
kind
light
of like
green,
a sort of like a light minty green,
minty green. That's good. Yeah, yeah.
and then the trade dress is dark green. Really makes Thor's
It,
cape pop.
it does, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. Oh, the
And then
colors
you
look incredible.
can see like the hammer. I love the way the hammer is, like the dimensional of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks like he's ready to come out of the cover.
So we were saying about the storyline. Um, so is that basically like the origin of Thor in that book, or well, the origin of
No, but
Thor?
it's the first appearance of Odin though.
Yeah,
So like this is like the first time we get to see his father, and I think Loki comes up next issue. But we were getting to see like more of like knowing about Asgard and some character develop a little bit more. He was a little different in the
uh-huh.
earlier issues than he was in the in the later '60s. Because they were still kind of creating his story.
Yeah, yeah. And did he start off with the sort of Donald Blake alter
Right.
ego, or was that something did they do that right from the
Yeah, I
start?
believe so. I know in the second
Yeah, yeah.
issue I have that, but and that has like the first Jane Foster and there was another first in there too, but I can't think of it off the top of my head yet. And but yeah, you were just seeing like how the characters were starting to meld into the storyline, and I really I really love Thor. Certain ways, I think he was a little bit of a ripoff, a little bit of my boy Captain Marvel, only because, like, he'd strike the cane and then he would magically be turned into Thor. So it was sort of similar in a way,
Yeah,
and like his,
I
his
can see.
power level is pretty up there too. So
I always really liked when but the first Marvel comics I started reading were sort of black and white British reprints of
hmm
older stories from the American comics. And there was one a friend gave to me. It was only it's probably like the mid 70s, but the it had a Thor backup story, and it must have been from the early 60s. It must have been one of the early ones because you could tell by the art. It was very very different looking, and that whole world of Asgard and the characters like Sif and Loki and Odin and stuff. I loved all
oh
that. I
yeah,
thought that was
they
fantastic.
were awesome.
So I never, it never, it, and that was one of those ones I never sort of attempted to pick up or collect a lot of Thor because I think because the issue numbers were already really high, and I just thought it's going to take forever to get go way back to the start. I don't think I'd appreciated it started in Journey into Mystery.
Right,
So
I think it was number
um,
83. So before that, they were just all like
83.
fantasy and horror type stories before that. And some of the earlier ones,
Yeah, yeah,
like they would have like a story in the background that was still, like a journey into mystery story before them. And they did that a lot in Tales to Astonish and Tales of Suspense early, and then they totally kicked all that storyline out just to make it superhero.
yeah, yeah. No, fantastic stuff. Um, okay, so another one that I asked you about. It's a little segment in the episodes we call Cover Love.
hmm
And this is where it's a book where it's just like every time you look at the cover, you just love looking at it. It doesn't have to like be one that makes you happy, but
Oh, this one
you
makes
just
me
love
real
the cover.
happy.
Oh, I'm gonna switch and put you back on a
Well,
full
you
screen. Go
you
on then.
must have quite a handful that do the same to you.
Yep.
Okay, so this one, I, I love Captain Marvel and all his family members, and I really love Captain Marvel Jr. And
Hmm.
he's the,
Yeah.
something. He's the only superhero that can't introduce himself to you. He can't say who he is because he'll turn back into Freddie Freeman. But this is Captain Marvel Jr. number 91 from 1950. This is like a 9.4 or a 9.2.
Look at that.
Sorry about the glare. It's very glossy still.
Oh, Robbie, that looks absolutely perfect. There's no glare on that. The colours on that looks like it was
Look,
printed
look
yesterday.
how clean that is, like his face and stuff. And I like
Yeah, that's.
the Earth is right there. If you look at the bottom, there's Saturn. It says, it's one of
Mhm.
those ones give to like the charities and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
his costume is just absolutely stunning. And I
So
love the space in the background and the black cover. It's really a beautiful
it
copy.
it really does look like it was printed yesterday. It looks spectacular.
Yeah, I was very
So
lucky to
you
get
weren't.
stuff like this.
And when's do you know what? Do you know when that one's from?
Uh, it's from November of 1950.
Now, did you just tell me that from your memory?
Yeah, I'm pretty good with Captain Marvel stuff.
I have to say, I've noticed, and I noticed this the couple of shows you did with Matt at the end of November as well. You guys, I'm a little bit jealous because my the way I sort of process information can be a little bit slow sometimes, which is why sometimes I struggle to ask a question and I'll stutter a little bit, which is okay. But my recall sometimes it's kind of like I've got like a bad memory. It just takes a bit longer for me to. I need to be able to concentrate really hard to get the information out. You guys, you were on with Comic Mike on one shot, and Matt,
Right.
and I was listening to you guys, and you were showing books and you were talking about the books, but you would mention another book that was similar, or some, and all of you were going, "Oh yeah, that was issue 63. That was 1972. That was boom, 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 all these figures," and I was like, "Wow, these guys know their stuff. It's so impressive." But I can absolutely see why you love the cover of that book, and it looks like it's been so well looked after. And if you were telling us about how much you like, higher grades, that one's. I don't think I've seen a book that old that looks that good.
Well, if you watch Matt's show, I showed some pedigrees that were like 9.4s and stuff from that era.
Uh-huh.
Those are certified though. That isn't.
Well, I'm gonna put it out there and say that it looks even more special because it's raw. You can. I think you can really, really see it. That black background, spectacular.
There was another black background one I was going to show too, because that's like 1A and the other one was like 1B. The other one is a black cover where he's riding a key through a keyhole. It's really
I
cool.
think you've posted that recently,
Right, right,
recent to
right.
when we were making this recording in December. Yeah, I remember that. I hadn't seen that before, and that looked amazing.
That's a really fun one too.
You know me, I'll have a picture of that on the screen. That's
But that could have been so many. There's probably hundreds of books that could put a smile on my face, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. See, and so we're talking about um, grades and stuff like that, and we've seen that you've got slabs and you've got raw books. Do you prefer one to the other, or
Well, now that I'm getting a little up there in my in my years, I'm leaning more towards just buying certified books right
uh-huh.
now because I've got so many raws. I have a whole storage bin filled with them.
Mhm.
So, and you know, in case something happens to me, or whoever inherits my books down the road, I wanted to make it a little bit easier for them as well because that would be easier to if they were in a financial problem or something, that would be easier for them to sell those ones firstly.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that about getting slabs, and I can see the sense in that. I don't have many slabs myself, very few, but then my collection's quite small. I think, speaking of that, do you know how many comics you have?
Um, the last time I ever put a count on it, it was about 6,500. But it could be closer to seven, or it could be even more than that. It's been a while since I put a count
So
on them. I got I don't know, like 56 boxes in storage.
wow, okay. So
I could have bigger collections. I know people that have collections 5 times my size, but it's not so much. It depends on what kind of a collector
yeah,
you are. I think that's the biggest thing, knowing what kind of a collector you are. So after I stopped, buying just quantity over quality, the numbers kind of got a little smaller because I was just, focusing on certain
hmm,
books. Like I could have completed almost every run except for like the Action Detective and a few of those already. But I passed on certain books because I wanted them to have a certain appearance to them.
yeah, yeah. And we're
So I'm a waiter. I'll wait out a book if I need to.
patience. I like that. And we're bearing in mind as well. this isn't your first collection, so
No.
going back, the numbers will have added up. Yeah, so just back on collecting. So nowadays, you're saying like like me, most of the stuff you pick up's online and stuff like that. But you don't pick up any new stuff. I think you'd said to me beforehand, was it sort of early 2000s you stopped picking up new
You're
stuff?
right. Around 2006, because
Hmm.
I was getting to another phase of my collecting, and that's when I really wanted to clamp down and start getting more golden age books. So, I mean, I can't remember how much the books were at the time. They were probably maybe $2 or close to it. And if I was buying 10 of those, that was $20 a week that I was spending. So I did the math, and I figure if I did that for a year, I could buy one or two really great books, or maybe four really solid good ones. Or so I traded
Uh-huh.
in the money for those to put them towards the other books.
I can remember thinking exactly the same thing. Um, there was a point quite a long time ago now where I was buying like everything that came out
Yeah.
each month, DC stuff and the Marvel stuff and some independent stuff. But after a while, when I sort of looked at you'll read a book for a few months, and if it's not doing it for you, you stop buying it, and then you end up with bits and pieces of runs. And but I actually looked at. I think it must have been one day when I went to my comic book store and picked up what was out, and it was the time when there seemed to be a lot at once, and there was a lot of crossovers and things. So I picked up some
Mhm.
extra books. And when I got to um, the sort of checkout, I was a bit surprised at how much it came to, and I thought, hmm. I might have to think about this. So it's like, I could have got a nice old Fantastic Four book or something for
You
this
got that
instead
right.
of this pile of rubbish. So yeah, that made me sort of stop and start thinking a bit more about what I was actually picking up. Kind of difficult. So okay, earlier on we talked about we had a look at that journey into mystery, which is great. And we're thinking about the storyline. Do you have a book that shows off your favorite or one of your favorite artists?
Well, I had them in order from the something you sent me. I had one that I was supposed to pick for you first, but let me get to this one. Um, this question was so hard for me because there's so many artists I love. There's some artists that I love that don't get the credit they deserve, like Gene Colan and um, my favorite one from the Golden Age. He gets a little bit Mac Rayboy, and other than like your
Okay.
Alex Schomburgs or your Lee Elias's of that time, and I love Jack Burnley, who used to draw a lot of the early Superman books too. But I ended up going with Neil Adams because the reason I chose him is because he was pretty much the greatest artist when I started collecting books in
Yeah.
the early '70s. That's where he was really making his big name for himself. So I brought this book. It's called DC 100-page super spectacular number 6. And I thought you might like this because we got a lot of featured heroes on this one.
Oh yeah, that's some gallery. So
And
let me now.
and
Oh, go on. Yep.
if we turn it around, this is a wraparound. So this is what the back of it looks like.
Oh, good lord. That's fantastic.
So the one thing I like about this is that you get to see his work on a ton of characters before you even open the book. This is an awesome book to
So
get if you ever see this book, pick it up. It's been a steady little mover. It doesn't jump in like giant increments, but I notice it's always going up for some reason.
then was that just a one off?
Nah,
Or
There was a series, like it was funny. This series, it was by itself, but it also like sort of like the 80-page Giants did in the 60s. Like there were copies that were from the mainstream title and that by itself. So this one here didn't have a mainstream title, so it was just by itself.
absolutely right. You know, that actually reminded me that I think Raf did a special feature on the I think it was the 80-page ones, or maybe it was the 100-page ones, or both. Now, actually, now you mention it, I remember him saying about the weird numbering sequence, which is quite difficult, but they're great books.
Right.
And you probably will have heard me say in sort of uh, previous episodes or previous the little sidebar videos I do on a Sunday that my knowledge of DC is not very good. I've never really been
Mhm.
that into DC, but I have been picking stuff up,
Right. You
um,
posted
and
you posted an 80-page giant a couple of days ago, and right now, see, now I'm going to tell you something. That particular one you posted, originally the 80-page Giants had a 15-issue run by itself. Okay,
okay,
and
uh
then on number 16, it was a Justice League book. I believe it's Justice League number 39. That's when they started going into the mainstream titles. So your book won't have this, but if you have another 80-page giant that came after number 16, there'll be like a G and a number on it. So they actually picked up the numbering of them in the series, is like when they went to Superman or Batman. It would tell you like G17, G22, all the way up until they stopped making them. And in the last couple of years with those, they also weren't 80 pages anymore. They were like 64, and they were just called Giants. But they
right,
did keep the
right.
they did keep the numbering all the way to the end, though. And I
You,
always
s-
thought it was funny.
you see this?
I'm sorry. I always thought it was funny because Green Lantern and Wonder Woman never had an 80-page giant book, and they were pretty big characters. Or
That
Aquaman.
doesn't seem. Yeah, yeah. And Robbie, this is the level of knowledge which I find so impressive. Um, that level of detail about the numbering on the books. That's fantastic. But yeah, I mean that's that Flash one. It's in quite good condition. It's a bit, the spine's a little bit bent, but the edge of the spine's actually quite nice. And I didn't have any of those, so it's nice to pick up an example of one.
It's better looking than the
But
one
I
I
was going
got.
to say, I was going to say when you held up, can you hold up that book again? Have you still got it there?
Yeah,
The
I take them.
Neil Adams one.
I take them out of the sleeves. It's too much glare.
I think you're Thank you. When you first held that up, I was going to say, okay, with my poor knowledge of DC, let's see how many of these characters I can actually name. But then you turned it round, and I thought, there's more on the back. I was like, I've got no chance.
Well, here's the top
So
guys, if you can see them.
I know the Spectre, and is who's next to the Spectre? Is that Martian Manhunter
Look
or
at you.
someone?
You're doing pretty good here. Okay.
Okay, okay. And then I can see Green Lantern at the end.
Yeah,
I think is that Aquaman in there?
yeah.
Possibly Robin Hood,
No, that's
or is it
Green
the Green
Arrow.
Arrow? Green Arrow. There we go. You've got Superman, Wonder. I don't know the guy at the back.
Okay, the guy in the back with the goggles, that's Captain Midnight.
Captain Midnight. Okay.
And the guy here with the cowboy hat and the mask, that's the vigilante.
The Vigilante.
He was in the a lot of the early Action Comics back pages.
That's very cool. Yeah, it scared me a bit when you turned it round and I saw how many there were on the back. But
And
that's
if you were wondering, this book is from 1971.
It's stunning. I've got a note of that. I'm gonna keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah,
Since you've
it's called DC 100 page Super Spectacular number 6.
super spectacular number 6.
It's an awesome book to have too.
I'm on it.
You
So
got a
I
lot
think
of reading in that one.
everyone would get would support you choosing Neil Adams, and I appreciate what you said. It's just he's one of many. I was delighted you mentioned Gene Colan as well, who's my personal favorite.
Yeah, he drew it. He drew the. I love his Submariner, and he did a pretty good job with Iron Man too when he did Iron Man.
Yeah, yeah. The only
Dracula.
oh, yeah, the only original art that I have. I've only got one piece of original art, and that's a Gene Colan page. Um,
Nice.
it's not from a big book, so it wasn't too expensive, but it's really shows off his the flowing style and the dark shading and stuff. Just love it to bits. I'll make sure
What book was it from?
it was from a DC book called Silver Blade
Okay.
in the 80s, I think. Um, I did get a copy of the book, which cost a lot less than the page of art, but
Right. Right.
and I didn't particularly care for the book, but the page of art's gorgeous. I'll take a photo of that and send it to you so you can see it.
Yeah, do that. I'd love to see it.
It's lovely.
A lot of
Um,
people don't. A lot of people don't know that Gene Colan was drawing like many years before the Silver Age too. You know.
let's get back to you. And I made up a special question for you because I know that you show us a lot of books from different eras, right through from golden age to bronze age, and even some a bit beyond. And I asked you to have a think about if you were creating a team of heroes, who and you could have heroes from any era you like. Who would you put in your team? And I said you could have five or six.
5. You
Five.
had
Okay.
another one for me before that one, so I'm kind of out of order here.
I'm gonna
Okay,
save it.
so my superhero team is obviously my boy Captain Marvel. He's the muscle.
Captain
You
Marvel.
always need the muscle. So I have
Okay.
Captain Marvel on my team. I have the Submariner,
Ooh.
and he's the secondary muscle. And plus, he's the king of the sea, so we needed somebody to cover the water.
Oh, good thinking.
My third character is Wanda the Scarlet Witch.
Oh yeah.
I was going to go with Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate, but I figure, I mean, she's just, we got to get some girls in here too, so, make it pretty sort of equal.
Excellent.
And then I have, well, she's there for the supernatural stuff that she could do. And then I have Batgirl, Barbara Gordon,
Okay.
and she's there basically because she's such a genius, and she's knows the tech very well, and as now that she's more known as the Oracle, she's like supposedly knows criminology probably better than anything. And my last member of the official team is the Atom.
Yep.
And I figured the Atom would be good because anybody that can shrink down that small, he can get in anywhere and he can infiltrate anything if they needed to be without having to tear the whole place apart. The Atom can, be the man. And I have a secret six member of the team. It's like, you ever see the TV show Charlie's Angels?
Yeah, yeah.
You remember how you never saw Charlie, but he was running the show?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so my sixth member of the team is you. You're the guy that's running the show. And I even gave my team a name. I call it the McGroovy Five. So that's how that worked out.
Well, I mean, that's thrown me. That has.
I'm sorry, but we try.
Oh no, I'm honoured. I have to say, the McGroovy Five sounds a bit like a jazz band,
Yeah,
but yeah, yeah, that's I really I really like I like the mix of heroes and the sort of special abilities and the land and sea and air
hmm
stuff. That's yeah, I think they'd be a force to be reckoned with, wouldn't they?
I
I've
think so.
I've got one question. You said Captain Marvel for the muscle, Submariner's kind of the secondary muscle. So are you saying in a fight Captain Marvel would beat the Submariner? Is that your
Oh yeah, he'd wipe them out. But the Submariner would give him a battle, though. I think the Submariner is probably in the top 10 of the strongest, but he doesn't get any credit anymore. Like nowadays is different. When I was a kid growing up, I used to ask a lot of the older guys that used to collect. They always said Captain Marvel. 65% of them said that, 35 of them said Superman. And then
okay?
Submariner was maybe on the next list of the golden age as far as the
Yeah.
physical power went.
Uh-huh. Well, that they're absolutely fantastic. I love that team. I think it's a good idea having me in the background, sort of not having my face involved,
Yeah.
because I think it would bring the side down a bit. You know, you've
Oh, cut it out.
you've got all these amazing looking heroes and this old Scottish potato.
Oh, that's so crappy. Don't say that.
That I mean, that's fantastic. I love that. I love that team, and it's a good mix of. There's a bit of Marvel, there's a bit of DC, bit of Fawcett
hmm
in there. I think you've absolutely nailed that, sir. Um, so, and the McGroovy Five is a great name. It just is. Thank you.
No
Um,
problem. I
I'd
wouldn't.
asked
I
you.
wouldn't put a team together without you.
So, yes, try and get my composure back now. So, for your last book, I asked you about a book that you would recommend to me. Hopefully, one that's not too expensive, because we both know I'm probably going to take your advice. So, what have you got? What have you got for me?
Well, it might be a little expensive depending on what grade, but it's still fairly affordable. And since we were just talking about our friend Gene Colan, I figured this would
Yeah.
be a really good book if you didn't have it to get. It's Iron Man Submariner #1.
Oh, wow. And again, that one looks absolutely stunning.
And the reason I picked this book is because it's the prequel to both of them. You know, when Tales to Astonish ended and Tales of Suspense ended, you need the issues kind of before that too. But I thought that this was a special book, and I always loved this book.
So, I mean, you absolutely get full points there. You've got Gene Colan, you've got Submariner and Iron Man, which is brilliant, and I really love the fact that I think it's a really interesting little fact that it sits in between was it Tales of Suspense and
Right.
Iron Man and Submariner's individual issues. I just think that's fascinating. I love little things like that.
Yeah.
That's a perfect choice.
Do you got that one?
I don't have those, and that's what is it about 1968?
Yes. Good. Yeah. It's April of '68.
So that's just before I was born, Robbie. So I think I definitely have to put that on my list, don't I?
Yeah. I was in my diapers then.
um, absolutely fantastic books. Oh, Basil the cat's come to join in and say hi.
Oh, good. I was worried about Mayan coming in and bothering you.
He
Hi, Basil.
when I'm talking, hey Basil, come say hi. So he loves it when he hears me talking to someone. He wants to know what's going on. He wants to be involved, and he likes chewing the plastic covering on comic books, which is why
Yeah,
we
they
keep
love
them.
that, don't they?
They
He wants to
certainly do.
watch your show too.
It's probably got something more to do with being fed, I would imagine. But hey, big fussy guy.
You're a good
So
looking cat.
he's lovely. Yeah, he's a he can be a pest sometimes. But do you mind? You're standing on my notes now. So one other thing I wanted to ask you um, was we talked a lot about and previously sort of talked about and seen books showing off the heroes and what have you. Do you have any favorite villains?
That's a good one. I actually like the Marvel villains sometimes better than the DC villains, but I also
Yeah.
love my Captain Marvel villains too. So, but I kind of like Galactus. I kind of like the Absorbing Man too. He's an interesting guy. Obviously, like the Joker and Brainiac, Lex Luthor. I like them all really, but it's really hard to pick. But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I also like Doctor Savannah and Mister Mind, which is the craziest villain of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Not many villains are a worm.
Is that it's not one I'm familiar with.
Yeah, he's a worm that has a radio around his neck that he can speak out of. He's from another planet.
What
But he's
what books was he in? Was it they
Captain
tend to be
Marvel.
Captain Marvel? Yeah.
Yeah, Captain Marvel had a very strange rogues gallery, but there's so many of them. It's hard to really like pinpoint just one or two
Do
or
you know what
three.
I like? Do you know what I like best about Captain Marvel? It's it's the way you say Captain Marvel with your accent. That
Yeah,
that Boston accent, Captain Marvel.
you don't want me to park the car in Harvard Yard, do you?
Absolutely perfect. That's so much fun. So I'll just check in. I know you've done a fantastic job of bringing the books for the questions. I mean, they're you couldn't have done any better. They're amazing. Did you have any other ones with you that you particularly wanted to show?
Yeah, I got the one that you wanted me to show you about the one that's very dear to my heart.
Yeah, yeah. Let's have a
So
look at that.
as I told you when a big part of the reason I started collecting books was the have you must have seen the Adventures of Superman TV show, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I was very when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I first saw that show on TV, and I was totally mesmerized, and I still am by it. So about 20, maybe 20, 22 years ago, I found this book, and it really tied it all together for me because of what it says on the cover. If you can read that, where it says, "And now the adventures of Superman."
And now the adventures of Superman.
So it reminded me of the TV show. So this
Uh
is
huh.
Superman number 39 from 1946.
Wow.
And this is a Jack Burnley cover, which he was one of the best Superman artists, I think, of that time.
Uh huh. That's absolutely stunning, and you'll have known what it was like to be sitting on the other side of the TV.
Oh, yeah, I love the
Um,
kids. Look at their faces.
yeah.
They're all excited. But see, that's a radio, not a TV. Because
Oh, of course.
TV,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because TV really wasn't a thing just yet.
Uh huh.
And
Uh huh.
actually, this was done 5 years before they started filming the show. The show originally aired in 1952. This is 1946.
Yeah.
It's in really nice shape, too.
It really is. Again, it looks like one that's not been printed too long ago. The colours on it are fantastic.
Yeah, I love that book. I like the way Superman looked back in the Golden Age too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I do. I mean, obviously, I like to point out there were reruns. Any I saw on TV, but
Right.
absolutely great fun. That's a spectacular one to finish with, and you can see why that's got a special meaning to you. And I still keep working on trying to find my way into Superman. I've still got lots and lots of work to do to learn about Superman. But Robbie, can't thank you enough for joining me. You've got some amazing issues. We're all grateful every time you share any of them. But being able to talk to you as well, a little bit of back and forth about why some of the stuff's important for you, and your collecting journey, it's just absolutely awesome. So thank you very much indeed.
Hey, it was more of a pleasure for me to be with you.
And we will do more. So Robbie and I are going to have a little bit of chat when we end the recording. For everyone else, I'll have a few words after this. So thanks again, Robbie, and everyone else. We'll catch you in a wee bit. The fantastic Robbie Josephs, our Captain Marvel. You can subscribe to this channel if you like. You can like this video if you like. If you can see this, the important thing is you get down into the comments, say hi to Robbie, leave a message, show him some of the love that he so generously dispenses on the rest of this community. We're all in awe of his collection, and we love that he loves to share what's in his collection, share his books with us, talk about them, what he loves most about them. And that's all fantastic. But the adversity the guy's faced, traumatic experiences, he's come back time and again to build these phenomenal collections. So such an honor to speak to him. Had such a good time. The Q&A, the sharing of the books, some giggles and things that you won't have seen in the recording. My biggest takeaway is that the world doesn't need superheroes. The world needs more Robbies, or it needs more of us to be more like Robbie more of the time. Love things, find things in life that you love, share them with people, and make them as enthusiastic about your passion as you are. Thanks very much for tuning in, and until next time, stay groovy.